All right, folks, welcome back. Welcome back to the kitchen. We're doing something a little bit different today. I got a video coming out after this where I'm going to do a breakfast meal. But today we're going to do a dinner meal because how many of us are planning on going camping for the upcoming 4th of July weekend? Hello? And how many of us just can't do a hot dog on a stick? Hello? So, what I'm doing here today is a simple shrimp scampi. That's right. That's what I said. I said shrimp scampi. And we're going to do it at the campsite. First, let me give you a quick tour of my camp kitchen. Over here, I have my Coleman 2-burner dual fuel stove, which I have my water on, bringing it to a boil as we speak. And then this is a Cabela's camp kitchen. This was given to me as a Father's Day present. Don't mind the dog. If you can see her down here at the bottom, she's wandering around. Just for the record, I am not camping right now. I am in my backyard. I did not have time to go camping and make this video, get it up, get it out for y'all to see the recipe before the 4th of July weekend. So we're kind of, doing things a little out of order. But I brought all my camping gear, not all of it, but all my cooking camping gear outside into the backyard. And today we're going to prepare for you some shrimp scampi, at least what I call camp scampi. So ingredients are down in the comments, but you can see I got them laid out here. It's pretty simple. It's some pasta, some butter, some oil, some cheese, some garlic, and some shrimp. And that's really all there is to it. So now that you've had a quick tour of my camp kitchen, of course, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. You know, I try to get to all my comments, but for now, I'm going to pause the video. We'll come back when the water is just about at a boil, and then we'll start the scampi. It takes a lot longer for the water to boil and for the pasta to cook than it does to actually make the scampi. Shrimp cooks in just a few minutes, so you'll see once I get it all together. But for this, you see my small pot over there. I have used a bigger one on the grill before, but with the frying pan and the big pot, it's tough. Space is an issue. So I tend to bring this smaller one, unless I have the whole family with me. And for the smaller one, I could just as easily break the pasta in half. But I know my local food line sells these pot size or half, and they fit in there just lovely. So we're just going to rock these today. And this is what I generally do when it's just the wife and I camping. I'll just bring these. I mean, these I get at for $1. I think they're 98 cents for a pound. Yep, it's a pound. Same amount of spaghetti as the long boxes. And you can use any type of pasta that you choose. I just grab spaghetti for this. It's what the wife prefers. But you could use linguini or fettuccine or angel hair or rotini or any other type of pasta that you want. Shrimp. This is a 1620, I believe. I believe these are 1620s. Doesn't even tell you. Oh no, these are 2125s. I did open this and they were already deveined and shelled. All I did was get the tails off of them, and that's what I do at home as part of my prep work. I'll open up the package, wash it out real good, go ahead and detail or take the tail off the shrimp, put them back in because it seals, and then I'll stick it back in the fridge until the next day when we leave to go camping or whatever, just so I don't have a bunch of shrimp tails in my camp trash can, because that attracts critters. So I try to minimize my waste by doing as much prep work as I can. So let's give this water a few minutes to boil, and we'll come back to it when it's ready. All right, our water is just about at a boil, so we can go ahead. Now let me tell you about this pot real quick. One of the things that people do, can you all see this? Let me see if I can turn you over here a little bit without shaking you around too much, giving you a headache. This pot, you notice I don't have a strainer for straining my pasta. This pot has holes in the lid, and I can hold the pot and strain because it has a lip in it. As you can see, there's a lip, and boom, that's how I can strain the pasta. So that makes life easier on me. We are just about at a boil. We're probably hot enough to start getting our pasta in there. So I'm going to go ahead and get the pasta going. I'm not going to start the scampi until about 3/4 or at least 3/4 of the way cooked for the pasta, because like I said, this only takes just a few minutes to do the scampi itself. I don't want it to overcook the shrimp before the pasta is ready. So it's kind of all about timing. I don't have the times. If you're watching this video, then I'm assuming you already have some experience cooking. If you don't, Google a shrimp scampi recipe, and look at the times. It probably tells you to use cooked pasta and doesn't really tell you, but the pasta box will tell you how long it takes. I just kind of gauge it. When I stir the pasta, I can tell when it's about al dente is the actual term. So you want your pasta to be al dente before you start with your scampi. So gauge it by your time. I'm going to pause the video and we'll be back to get this going. All right, folks, our pasta is just about al dente. It took about 15 minutes, maybe 12, 15 minutes. I don't know, something like that. So we got our second burner on. We're getting our pan warmed up now. Turn our flame up some. Get our pan warmed up. Oh yeah. Now, as the recipe said, we are going to use an entire stick of butter. So again, if you came to this channel looking for health food, you picked the wrong one. I do at times make healthy meals, but we're camping, so a healthy meal is not really my concern when I'm making this dish. Now, there are times where when I'm camping, I will bring some romaine lettuce and some chipped Parmesan cheese and some chicken breasts, and I'll grill my chicken breasts and I'll put myself together a nice chicken Caesar salad, and that'll be my dinner. But today we are making camp scampi. So camp scampi is butter, oil, cheese, and shrimp, basically. You can jazz it up a little bit if you want to kind of add maybe some Italian seasoning or some basil. I didn't bring any of my seasonings out with me today. Normally when I'm camping, I have a little assortment pack, and I'll give it a little sprinkle of some Italian seasoning just to give it a little bit of something. But those are all preference things. You don't have to add the Italian seasoning. This is scampi. I kind of get creative with it sometimes. There's a lot of times maybe I'll throw some broccoli in my scampi, or I'll throw some fresh basil leaves in my scampi, and just to jazz it up a little bit. But for this purpose, we're just going to stick with the basic scampi, or what I call camp scampi, and you can build off of it from there. So let's give this a second to warm up, and I'll be right back with you. All right, our butter is just about melted. Let's take a look at some of our other ingredients. We're going to need some oil. This is just some extra light olive oil. We're going to need that here in a little bit. I like to add it a little bit later, just get my butter melted, because the next thing we're going to add is our garlic. Now this is quick and easy. You can buy a little jar of garlic at the grocery store, and it's already chopped for you, or you can bring fresh garlic and chop it yourself. I'm a garlic fan, so you may see me add a little more garlic than what you would add. Again, it's preference. I put about a heaping tablespoon of garlic into my scampi. But again, garlic is a preference. I'm a big garlic fan. Wife is a big garlic fan. So basically what you're looking for is get your garlic in your butter. You only want about a minute, maybe a minute and a half, for that garlic to heat up and start to like let all that garlic flavor and whatever's in it, it's got to kind of release it. So you only want to give it about a minute or so before you add anything else. Next, we're going to add our shrimp. And again, these are 2125 peeled, deveined, and detailed. They didn't come detailed. I had to take the tails off of them. But I did that in advance at home. Of course, I'm still home now. But if I was camping, I would do that in advance at home. So I didn't have shrimp tails in my camp trash can. Merely to kind of cut down on the critters and anything that might want to wander into my campsite, and anything that might want to wander into my campsite because of any trash, or I try to minimize the amount of food scrapings or cuttings or anything. Basically, you're just going to let that garlic and that butter do its thing until them shrimp are just about done. So we'll pause the video. It only takes a few minutes, and I'll be right back with you. I'm gonna get a paper towel off camera too. All right, got my paper towel. Normally this rack right here, it kind of just clips on and off. This is where I hang some paper towels, or I'll put it up here in the kitchen closer to the sink. But normally when I'm camping, I have a roll of paper towels with me, so I apologize for having to stop. I did switch burners. Our pasta is done. We're done completely. So I turned off the second burner and I moved the the pan over to the primary burner. On these camp stoves, the right burner, which is where your fuel goes in and connects to, is your primary burner, and then the left is your secondary burner. I don't know if it's this stove specifically or all of them, but this burner is by far stronger than that burner. I can crank this up as high as it'll go, and this one is at like super high. So I usually switch them over. It's rare that I cook on two burners at one time. As you can see, our shrimp is starting to cook. Now, here's where you have an option. You get about this far with it. The shrimp is about half done. You can squeeze about a half a lemon in there. Be careful with the seeds. Or you can give it a shot of like some dry white wine, and that'll kind of take the fishy taste away. I don't mind it so much. The wife doesn't mind it so much. If I have wine, I'll throw it in there because it does give it a little bit of different type of flavor than your standard butter and garlic. Same with the lemon juice. That kind of cuts down on the fishy flavor of the shrimp. But again, I don't mind that so much. So it's not the end of the world for me if I don't have it. But once your shrimp is about half cooked, that's where you would want to add that. And you just want to keep stirring it, try to cook it evenly. Shrimp is one of those things that if you overcook it, it'll get really chewy and not be, very, very good. So you want to, just keep giving it a little stir here and there. And now that we are about 90% cooked with the shrimp, we got a couple of them that are still partially uncooked. We'll move them to the center, to the hot part of the pan. That'll make them cook a little faster. If you got to keep flipping them over, it's cooking shrimp. It's not rocket science. So right here we are about cooked, probably about 98% of the way there. So here is our next step. We take our cheese. Now this is just some pre-grated cheese that I picked up at the grocery store. A lot of times I grate my own cheese, but for the sake of the video, I picked this up, and I don't know how much I'm adding. It's probably about a quarter of a cup, maybe a little more. You don't want it to be in big clumps. You just want to kind of sprinkle it on there because you want this to melt and not clump and be gummy. Parmesan cheese does have a habit of doing that. If it's too thick, it won't really melt down maybe I'm adding a little more than quarter cup, maybe a third of a cup. Really, it's preference. But again, scampi is garlic butter. We're going to add just a little bit of olive oil here in a second, and that kind of helps the Parmesan cheese from kind of getting gummy. As you can see, this is a brand new bottle. I'm out of olive oil in my camping bin because I don't like to leave things sit over the season. So this is pretty much all I'll use for my entire camping season. And I guess I'm only adding about a tablespoon. It doesn't take much. You don't want to overdo it. And again, I like to add it at the end. A lot of people will add it at the beginning. You see my Parmesan cheese is starting to gum up. My flame is too high, so we'll cut that back some. So we don't need to be continually cooking here. So we want that cheese to mix in with that oil and that butter. That's what we're looking for right there. Now, if you're going to add some Italian seasoning or some fresh oregano or some fresh basil, you want to do that here at this stage. Otherwise, your basil or whatever, it'll wilt down unless you're using dried stuff. You see, I got this clump of Parmesan cheese that didn't do its thing. That was because my fire was too hot and it all cooked together. So we're going to smash it all up and mix it in with the oil and the butter and the shrimp. There we go. Now we're starting to look like scampi. All right, that's kind of how we want that to look. Now we're going to take our pasta and we're just going to dump it off camera into the grass. You might even be able to see me over here. I'm just dumping the pasta water in the grass, holding the lid. That's a good thing about this pot is you can strain the pasta. All right, get the water out of it. Now we'll take our lid, put it over here. We are going to partially use our spoon. We're going to dump our pasta right in the pan with it. And we're going to take our tongs and we're going to work everything together. Just like so. I should have brought a fork out. I didn't bring a fork out. It's all right. We'll figure it out. Of course, I'm taking this in the house, and this is actually what we're having for dinner tonight. All right, folks. Still got a clump of Parmesan cheese that ain't doing its thing. But that's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just has to be delicious. And there you have it, folks. That is Camp Scampi with cheese stuck to my tongs. Come on now. There we go. And there it is. Camp Scampi. That is this camera running? And that's all there is to it. Pretty simple recipe, pretty easy to make. Almost can make it in one pot. Technically, you could pre-cook your pasta at home and put it like in a Ziploc or a container, and then just take it out of the cooler so it's not super cold when you add it. And then just after you put your cheese in, you can put your pasta in there. You'd have to keep your flame on a little bit longer to heat that pasta. But as you can see, you know, dumping that hot pasta in there, man, that's good looking stuff right there. If you have a campfire going, you could, you know, have yourself some bread toasted, you know, with a little, maybe some garlic bread or something. You know, I don't know if I've ever done that or not, but it's a good idea. Always have a campfire going while I'm camping. So there it is, Camp Scampi. If you're looking for the recipe, check down in the description of the video. It's pretty basic. You saw what I put in it. I generally don't follow an exact recipe. If you want to look one up and follow it, go ahead. But I've made this dish enough times to where I kind of just throw it all together. So there's Camp Scampi. It's definitely better than hot dog on a stick or cold pizza. So if you're camping this 4th of July, and I'll tell you what, you start whipping up stuff like this at your campsite, you're going to get the attention of your camping neighbors. They're going to wonder what it is you're putting together over there, because a lot of people, you know, they do the standard hot dogs on a grill or whatever, but it doesn't have to be that limited. You know, you can make stuff at your campsite that you would normally just make in your kitchen. You just kind of adjust a little bit, you know, how you would do it. And I really didn't make that many adjustments. I might have left a few ingredients that I would normally put in here, merely because I threw all this together last minute to make a video. But again, I would add some Italian seasoning or maybe some fresh basil, just to kind of jazz it up a little bit. But I'm not even sure if true Scampi has that in there. It's just kind of my preference. So, you know, you can always tweak it for what it is. This is just the basic to build off of. It's butter, a little bit of olive oil, garlic, Parmesan cheese, some shrimp, and some pasta. And that's basically it. So I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments for me. And I do try to get to all of my comments. And I hope this video was more fun for you to watch than, you know, some of my other bug out bag or AR-15 videos. You know, I try to give a variety. I will be taking the GoPro with me on my next camping trip, which you'll see this entire setup again. I'm not sure what I'm going to make, you know, food-wise for that trip, but we'll decide that usually a few days before the trip. I'll put together a menu and I'll do all my shopping, you know, just so I know what I'm making. I don't have to wing it. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, like I said, leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does help me out with the algorithm. I'm noticing that my videos are getting more and more traffic. I'm pretty happy about that. I hope y'all are getting something from them. I hope you get something other than a satisfied belly from this one. So until next time, don't forget to keep your head on a swivel, and we'll see you in the next one.